Welcome, crypto Ronins of the world. This is the Dow Realist, and today we're going to be talking about BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, the intergovernmental organization for the economic cooperation between some of the largest economies in the world. So getting right into it, a new world order. BRICS nations offer alternative to the West. The acronym BRIC, which was coined by Jim O'Neill, who was an economist for Goldman Sachs, the multinational investment bank. It was coined by him in 2001 regarding these nations that he projected would take over the world economy and become the most dominant in the world economy by 2050, right? According to a paper that he wrote and released in 2001. And that term has stuck ever since. And basically, what BRICS is doing is forming an alternative model to the G7. The G7, the Great Seven Economies, which was formed in 1975, this organization was formed in 1975, is consisting of Germany, France, the United Kingdom, Italy, Japan, Canada, and the US. So these 7 countries, which are the G7, are facing a massive rivalry from BRICS. So the Western Bloc is facing a rivalry from the Eastern Bloc. Or you could even argue the Southeastern Bloc, seeing that Brazil and South Africa are in the Southern Hemisphere geographically. So it's the Western Bloc versus the Southeastern Bloc, or you could just say the Western Bloc versus the Eastern Bloc, vying for economic power in the world. And with the rise of BRICS, we're seeing a monumental shift and changes that are occurring in the world that we need to pay attention to. They are challenging the World Bank model. The current model is being challenged. They're challenging the World Bank model. BRICS nations launched the new development bank as an alternative to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. So they're launching the NDB in rivalry as an alternative to the WB and the IMF, which spells huge implications for developing countries, especially who are looking to take out loans and have economic trade and economic deals with these governing bodies. So it's very, very important for the world at large. And it really creates a paradigm shift in the geopolitical dynamics of the world. Not only that, they're set to expand as well, and looking to add new members to their organization. Right? So this really is a important point, so much so that some European and US policymakers worry that the BRICS may not only just be an economic power, but will also turn into a political one as well. So there's something very important to pay attention to. Why are US policymakers so worried? And we can see that worry or that concern echoed in the words of US Senator Rand Paul, where he states that the US dollar is in a precarious position as BRIC members join forces against American currency. All right? So it is also a currency war that is going on over here. Senator Rand Paul further said that the US government's foreign and fiscal policies are pushing BRICS and other nations to gang up against the US dollar. Right? Those are some alarming and serious statements. Paul went on further to say that the U.S. is becoming increasingly isolated as outside powers team up to settle trade deals without using the U.S. dollar. So when world powers when countries start excluding the U.S. dollar, this is called de-dollarization. Currently, the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world. It's what all countries use to trade in with each other. This has been the case especially since the petrodollar was established. And in order for one country to buy petrol and oil from another country, they had to use US dollars, and they would use that as a reserve currency, and they would use that for other materials as well and other deals as well. They would all transact in US dollars. What this would do, this would maintain the demand of the US dollar. Despite the supply, the ever continuous printing of the US dollar, expanding its supply, which makes it less scarce, which reduces its value, the demand has always maintained its value. The fact that every country is holding US dollars in reserves and also trading in US dollars maintains the demand of the US dollar. But once countries start leaving and start using other mediums of value, other currencies, other than the US dollar, to hold as reserves or to transact with, then the demand goes down and the value of the US dollar goes down. So it's a very serious situation, and it has serious implications. All right. So not only should we be looking at what serious implications they have on the global level, but we got to look down and see what happens at the national level, and then at your level as an individual. What's going on, and how does this affect you? Further, if we look at what Senator Rand Paul had to say, he said, if you treat your dollar like scrap paper, especially with this endless printing, and you continue to buy up enormous amounts of U.S. debt, your dollars become worthless too. So for a variety of reasons, both foreign policies as well as fiscal responsibility, yes, the dollar is in a precarious position, and I think it is not an unfounded prediction to say, yeah, we could possibly lose our status as a reserve currency. We could possibly lose our status as a reserve currency. This is a very, very, very important point. And lo and behold, BRICS nations plan to create a new international reserve currency. All right? Why am I not surprised? Right? There is an economic war going on. And we have all the leaders here of China, Russia, Brazil, India, and South Africa. And they are considering, and they have plans to create a new international reserve currency off the US dollar, which results in de-dollarization and which results in the dollar losing its value, right? So if any of you are earning or holding US dollars, you have to consider what is the future of that fiat currency, okay? The matter of creating the international reserve currency based on the basket of currencies of our countries is under review, all right? So they're considering having a basket of currencies, potentially, right? That more than one currency that will function as the reserve currency of the world, as opposed to the US dollar only. So we're shifting from a unipolar world to a multipolar world, if you will, if they go through with what they are planning to do. And this was stated at the last BRICS summit, right? Something very important to consider. But not only that, BRICS nations draft plans for cross-border payments with crypto. Crypto is also being considered as part of this cryptocurrency. It's very important for what they plan to do, right? Because they are looking for an alternative to SWIFT, the US dollar-dominated SWIFT international payment system. BRICS nations to form an alternative to the US dollar-dominated SWIFT international payment system, right? So the SWIFT international payment system is that system which allows you, that electronic system that allows you, that banking system that allows you to send money from one bank to another bank in another country, right? Interbank transactions across different countries, right? You do it through the SWIFT international system, which is controlled and dominated by the US. And if they ban you or put sanctions on you or don't allow you to transact, then to use that system to transact, then you can't, right? And that creates a huge hindrance. So they want to have a system where they're no longer reliant on the international SWIFT payment system for exchanging value and exchanging money and sending their currency and for trade, right? So this has really, really serious monumental implications what they are planning to do. And for a lot of these things, cryptocurrency has the solution. That's why they've been turning to cryptocurrency. A Brics cryptocurrency, they're considering to have cryptocurrency for all the utilities that cryptocurrencies have to offer. Brics nations discuss shared crypto to break away from US dollar and SWIFT, right? This is big news. This is very important. And what we see here is that they for different reasons, as a means of circumnavigating US sanctions, right? A blockchain consultant from Russia noted to the convenience and reduction of transaction cost as some of the advantages of creating a single cryptocurrency system for the Brics countries. All right? So they're considering this. If it is possible to reduce currency risks, then it is better to carry out trading payments directly and not through the purchase of dollars. Again, a statement about getting off the US dollars, de-dollarization, right? And this is a really important point. They're even considering pegging the whatever cryptocurrency they have or whatever currency they decide to gold and not the US dollar. All right? Over here, commenting on the possible options that the international cryptocurrency may be tied to. Alina Sidorenko, the head of the Russian State Working Group on Cryptocurrencies Issues, said that there are several options on the table. For example, it could be tied to the value of another cryptocurrency. All right? Which cryptocurrency do you think that they would have considered? It's right over here, Bitcoin. Definitely they would have considered Bitcoin. So not only is this bullish or this is huge for Bitcoin, but it's big for the cryptocurrency industry as a whole. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that they may tie it necessarily to Bitcoin, but they are considering cryptocurrency as the solution for the problem that they're facing as a intergovernmental organization, right? As you know, a huge collective economic power. You know, this is not just one country we're talking about. These are 5 countries and more looking to join them. And they're looking towards cryptocurrency as a solution. And they definitely would have considered Bitcoin as well, no doubt about it. But what we will see what they will eventually decide and they will settle on. They've also considered raw materials like gold to be considered as a solution to their issue. That's why they've been talking about pegging it to gold and not to the US dollar. And we spoke about gold and how all these countries and all their central banks are buying up all the gold in our previous video. You know, there's a massive record high of buying up gold and holding gold reserves in order to preserve value, which shows a lack of confidence in the current international fiat currency system and moving away from currencies into gold in order to preserve value, because people are expecting big shifts to take place in the coming years, in the coming months, in the coming years. So it's definitely something to be focused on and to pay attention to. Russia seeks an alternative to SWIFT, right? You can see what they want. China considering a national crypto to bypass US sanctions. Brazil has a positive stance on using stable coins, right? And what's interesting here is that Brazil is demonstrating the highest rate of Bitcoin trade in Latin America. Such broad penetration of digital assets in Brazil makes it both fertile ground for the development of a national cryptocurrency and a firm ground to support for a unified Brics cryptocurrency for settlements with member states, right? So Brazil, which is the biggest economy in Latin America, South America, is so pro crypto and pro cryptocurrency and pro Bitcoin, right? And they have the largest trades in Latin America. So Brazil is the B in the word Brics, and they're already on board, they're already looking towards this. So this is really making a monumental shift in value away from the US dollar and towards gold and in particular cryptocurrency, right? As a whole, India has issues that it's facing which cryptocurrency can solve. right? India is fighting with poverty and corruption, right? And the introduction of a national digital currency, right, is a significant move and can solve a lot of their issues. And we have to understand that their country, their population is set to overtake China to become the most populous country in the world. So we have to take into consideration what decisions they are making as well. South Africa is making money transfers accessible for citizens. The possibility of issuing national digital currency has even been discussed by the South African Reserve Bank, which could allow for its citizens to freely transact without the need for banks, right? So this is huge for cryptocurrency as a whole, and for Bitcoin in particular, and other cryptocurrencies which do solve the problems that the Brics nations are facing. All right, and to keep in mind, the Brics nations may have, when it comes to a basket of currencies, they may have significant issues maybe with each other as well. Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, offers a neutral solution to what they are trying to achieve. It's neutral. It's politically neutral. So it would make more sense for them to adopt a cryptocurrency than either of their individual currencies. And a basket of currencies could equalize things, but a cryptocurrency would really provide a full solution as it is politically neutral. Brics' new currency could benefit gold and Bitcoin. All right? For all the reasons that we discussed, all the reasons that we described, that is what we are looking towards. It's really important. We can see people moving into gold to preserve their value and moving into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin to preserve their value and also to increase their value, right? Gold being God's money, fiat currency being the banker's money, and cryptocurrency being the people's money. Okay? And here's a really interesting statement said by one of the big banks in the United States, Wells Fargo, that other than gold, another asset that could benefit from a big de-dollarization move is Bitcoin. All right? So the Wells Fargo's strategists, right, real asset strategy head John LaForge has stated this, right? So this is when your big banks are stating this, then that's also something important that you have to look into, right? This is big news over here. So with Bitcoin, if we analyze, it is the world's best performing asset over the past decade, right? Had you invested $11 in 2012, that would have been worth more than $10,000 today. This is by the way showing, this graph is showing 2020. We're now in 2023. It's even higher than this, right? Currently, BTC is trading for around $27,000, around $30,000, right? And at its all-time high, it hit $69,000. And in the next bull run, it will hit even higher. It's expected to go even much higher than that. So no other asset, not the stock market, not anything else, not trading commodities, nothing else can give you the type of returns that cryptocurrency can potentially give you. Just look at the past performance of Bitcoin itself, which is the leading cryptocurrency of the space and is considered digital gold. So while gold itself will be beneficial to you to preserve your value, Bitcoin can not only preserve your value but also increase your value. But what is even more lucrative than Bitcoin are altcoins, right? The amount that altcoins have exponentially rise is massive, While with Bitcoin you can preserve value and also increase your value to a degree, with altcoins you can create generational wealth. The type of insane returns in a short period of time are phenomenal, are monumental, right? And just to give you an idea of that, why altcoins is the specific area that you need to invest in order to make those returns, in order to get generational wealth, just look at our past history of what type of coins that we got into in our last bull run that we called and that we told our private community, private cryptocurrency group. If we look at it, Hedera hash graph called at 0.03, eventually hit 0.56, right? And that's a 186-fold return, right? So had you put in $100 into Hedera Hashgraph when we called it, you would have resulted in $18,666 had you exited out at the all-time high, right? So that's how much money you could have taken advantage of, 186x, right? $100 turning to more than $18,000. And that's if you invested $100. Imagine if you invested 200. It would be double that. If you invested $1,000, it would be 10 times that, 180,000, for example. Spell, 175x, right? Economy, 162x, right? And these are all our picks that we got into that gave you huge return. In the stock market, if you get a 2x return, that's a huge deal, right? And here we're talking about not just 2x, not just 10x. We're talking about not just 50x. We're talking about 100x plus even returns, right? As you can see, these were a number of our calls. Telcoin, Theta did more than 100x. TrustSwap, right? Chainlink, right? And then we did so many more. Even things giving us 90, 80, 60, 50x returns. These are huge gains as well, right? So we have now decided to open up our private community to the public. We've created a new public group and a new public community, and you can join via the link below if you're interested in getting these types of gains, via our Patreon link. And it is called We Are the Crypto Ronins, right? And we were able to have these picks using the 6 Crypto Ronin rules for success in finding and discovering altcoin gems. And we had massive success in the last bull run. And we are looking now to purchase and to get into the right altcoin gems for the next bull run. And we are constantly researching and constantly calling out new altcoin gems that are coming up on our radar, which we are presenting to you, and giving also general information and alpha and views and updates on what's going on as well in the markets. This could be hugely beneficial to you. Our group could be the source of information that creates life-changing generational wealth for you and your family. So I do suggest you consider joining our group through the link below. It is the price of just a simple meal out. Easy and straightforward. You will get all the information into our group and directly to your email, and you can have such returns like this as we had previously. That is our track record, and we are looking towards pulling this off as well. Definitely, no doubtedly, we will for the next bull run, and we would like that if you could join us for this journey of success, financial freedom, and generational wealth. So if you resonate with our message, please join our group in the link below, and let the gains begin. Ronins rise.